Welcome back to my channel. The subject we are going to discuss today is Samkhya Darshana versus Advaitha. So, all these years I've been frantically searching for a school of thought which is similar to my theory, my own theory, based on numbers. So, all the while, this wonderful theory had been there, and I didn't get a opportunity to study this and basically research. But yesterday, I came across this concept while basically researching for Advaita Siddhanta. So let us see what Samkhya means first. Samkhya, the word Samkhya, as wrote in Sanskrit, which means transliterated as Samkhya and Sankhya respectively in Sanskrit word that, depending on the context, means to reckon, count, enumerate, calculate, deliberate, reasoning by numeric enumeration, relating to number, rational. See, this is exactly what I had been looking all my life, the school of thought. In fact, many think that this precedes even the Vedic Vedanta or Vedic school of thought. Of course, there's a difference of opinion there, as always. But mind you, the most important thing is this Samkhya Darshana believes in rational thinking. And let us now see what Samkhya Darshana tells you about different ways of learning. Sankhya's epistemology accepts 3 of 6 pramanas. Pramana is proof, as the only reliable means of gaining knowledge, as does yoga. Yoga came later. Some people, there's a difference of opinion again there. Some people say yoga came after Samkhya and it adopted Samkhya Darshana's concepts. And some say, and no, the yoga existed even before. So anyway, these are pratyaksha. Pratyaksha in Sanskrit means direct, obvious, that which you can see, perceive. So in one word, it is perception. Next method is anumana. Anumana is inference. Let us say when you see a medical shop on the road, the obvious inference is that the medical shop will sell medicines, right? So that is inference, natural, logical flow, right? Everything follows logic. So that logic, or that inference rather, is anumana. There is a third method which is called Shabda. Shabda means word testimony of reliable sources. Shabda is word or testimony. Let us say Adi Shankara proposed Advaita. So that is Shabda. In the sense, he taught Advaita orally. And for example, Vedas. In the olden days, Vedas were basically passed down to the next generations orally. They were not written anywhere. The knowledge, Vedic knowledge, was transferred to the next generations orally. That is kind of Shabda, which is propagated through word. Sometimes described as one of the rationalist schools of Indian philosophy, it relied exclusively on reason. This is exactly what I had been searching frantically all the while, and I stumbled upon this. So you may know the word serendipity. The word serendipity comes from Serendeep. Serendeep is nothing but today's Sri Lanka. So one sailor was basically searching for India, and he reached Sri Lanka. And after reaching Sri Lanka, he could easily get to India. So that was just sheer luck. So he stumbled upon Sri Lanka or Serendip, or that is why it is called serendipity. So this word serendipity is a very important word, and you know, I most of the time I stumble upon things I'm looking for, and of course this Sankhya Darshana also relies on reason, and more than that, the very name indicates, it is Sankhya is basically, I'll show you the next slide probably. Yeah, the previous slide I already showed you this slide. Here, this is Samkhya or Sankhya, also transliterated as Sankhya and Samkhya respectively, with M and as well as N, is a Sanskrit word that, depending on the context, means reckon, count, enumerate, calculate, deliberate, reasoning by numeric enumerations relating to number rational. So it is purely science, maths rather, in fact, not even just physics, chemistry, or biology. It is pure math in the sense, any science, biology may change tomorrow. The arts, humanities may change every day. It depends on an individual. That's the opinion of an individual. The art expression of his innate art, it's an individual effort. But science, especially maths, doesn't change. So whenever you are searching for a proper school of thought, or theory, you should look for one which is based on reason and number also. So that is the reason why probably our guy Pythagoras said all is number. So maybe we are deviating a bit. So these are the three ways to learn. And main concept of Sankhya school of thought is, as opposed to Advaita. Advaita, as I explained yesterday, Advaita means non-dualism. Is negation, Dvaita is two. So there are no two opinions about anything or any concept. All are one. That is Advaita. non-dualism. As opposed to Advaita, which is non-dualistic in nature, Sankhya, on the other hand, is Dvaita, purely Dvaita. So, when you can compare this to, but it may not be it may not make much sense, but we have Dvaita Siddhanta by, I think, Madhvacharya. So Madhvacharya proposed Dvaita Siddhanta, which says soul and God are entirely different. The soul can never become enter the heaven. Like these two are two separate beings, entities. They can never meet. This Sankhya also proposes similar concept in the sense it is a little bit different in the way that it proposes that there is a concept called Purusha. Purusha is considered as the conscious principle. Don't mistake it for the sexual, what do you call, the what do you call, male female division. It is not. When we say Purusha here, Purusha is not male, just male. Purusha is the Jiva, the soul which is entrapped in the system. So, when some people may accuse me of being a male chauvinist for supporting this theory, but it is not so. Basically, Purusha is considered as the conscious principle, a passive enjoyer, Bhokta, and the Prakriti is enjoyed, Bhogya. Sankhya believes that the Purusha cannot be regarded as a source of inanimate world. What they mean here is not the man is the Bhokta and woman is Bhogya. It is not in that. It is not in that sense. They are not telling this in that sense. What all they say is Purusha can be male or female. It is basically the soul. Soul which is trapped in the inanimate world. Inanimate world in the sense it is Prakriti doesn't have life, right? Prakriti gives birth to life, but it is mostly inorganic, and it just provides you facilities, but it does, by itself it doesn't have conscience. So here, Sankhya believes that the Purusha cannot be regarded as a source of inanimate world because an intelligent principle cannot transfer itself into the unconscious world. So, when you call someone intelligent, you don't expect him to get bogged down into in the material attractions, right? See, this is very much similar to the Gnostic school of thought, which I educate all the time. So, in the Gnostic school of thought, we say that Sophia, the goddess of wisdom, unfortunately gives birth to Yaldabaoth. And Yaldabaoth creates this material world and rules the the abyss, what we call abyss. So Sophia fell down from heaven for her folly, momentary lapse, and she couldn't go back to heaven completely. The ultimate goal of Gnostic school of thought is the redemption of Sophia. So it in the Apocryphon of John, he says that Christ, who is the Syzygy of Sophia, will come down. Christ is nothing but light being knowledge. He will come down and take back his spouse, who is Sophia. So that is the ultimate scenario in Gnostic school of thought mythology is the redemption of Sophia. So here the same thing is told. Any intelligent principle cannot transform itself into unconscious world. This world, material world, the deeper you go into this abyss, this material world, right, starting from the 13th emanation, 13 square, that is 169, going, if you go down further into this material world, the denser it will get and lesser knowledge, intelligence, or divinity, you can say in one word. The qualities of God will be lost as you go down and down, deeper and deeper into this abyss. So that's what he is saying. Purusha, which is just a soul, neither male nor female, though the word they chose means male in Sanskrit, it doesn't mean just male. When we say man, a human has developed so much, we mean both male and female, not just man, right? When we say man, it need not necessarily mean just man, depending on the context. Here is the same thing. Purusha is the soul which got trapped into this inanimate, inorganic nature. It is pluralistic spiritualism, atheistic realism, and uncompromising dualism. So, what is important is uncompromising dualism. Here, it is very much similar to Madhvacharya's, what do you call that? Advaitha Siddhanta. Advaita is dualistic. The dualist school of thought was proposed by Madhvacharya, and it says the Atma and Paramatma are entirely separated and different entities, they can never be one. So this is also, this school of thought also says the same thing. And when we say this conscious principle, Purusha, I always talk about the one, the source or monad, and I always tell you that it is the energy provider, the core of our galaxy right now. Core of Milky Way galaxy is our monad, 16 cube. If you follow my videos, 16 cube is a conscience which is directing the all collective conscience comes is directed by the core of our galaxy. So once this core also, I mean the 16 cube also gets bogged down into this material world, let's say, then there will be another higher sun who will provide energy. And basically the concept of Purusha here, yeah, Purusha here is the incorruptibility. That is, it is something like the parable of egg and chicken. Which came first? Did egg come first or the chicken? Because you can say egg is the Purusha, chicken is the nature. So, Prakriti rather. So, did Prakriti create egg, or egg, from egg came the chicken? That is, from Purusha came the Prakriti, or Prakriti created Purusha. So this is one very interesting and what do you call, very confusing concept, very confusing. And I always tell you that at the energy, if you look at the energy levels, then at a 12 cube itself, I will show you perhaps. If I don't show you, you may not understand. Here, at the 12 cube level, 12th level itself, this is the Pascal's triangle, and these are the energy levels. And at the 12th cube level itself, we have 16 cube. 4096 is nothing but 16 cube. So 16 cube is a conscience I'm talking about. This is a monad, right? So if you uh, add up all the energy in this level, 12th level, it will total up to 16 cube. Meaning that does that mean that 12 cube has created the whole nature from here to here is a nature, and this total of this nature at this level is 16 cube, meaning did nature create Purusha, or actual 16 cube is way beyond this, right? This is 12 cube, 13, 14, 15, 16. He is 4 steps ahead. So was 16 cube there in the beginning, or 12 cube? Did 12 cube create 16 cube, or did 16 cube create 12 cube? That's the eternal question. Egg and chicken. So anyway, let us not linger on that. So yeah, let us come to this later. Here, what the most important of all, as I told you, as in case of Gnostic cosmos, the ultimate goal is redemption of Sophia, freeing Sophia from this abyss in which she got bogged down. So similarly, that is kind of moksha. Moksha, there are very similar words, moksha, salvation, or there is another word for moksha here. Especially in Samkhya school of thought, it is called kaivalya. So, how you can achieve this salvation? Sankhya regards ignorance, avidya. Vidya is knowledge, avidya is ignorance. Sankhya regards ignorance as the root cause of suffering and bondage, samsara. Those who are married with children, please don't get discouraged. What I mean here, the word samsara means the earthly duty, earthly bond. So Sankhya says the moksha can be achieved only through attaining knowledge, by attaining knowledge. Sankhya regards ignorance, avidya, as a root cause of suffering and bondage. Suffering and bondage, because of all these earthly, what do you call, sufferings, obligations, bonds, they cause the avidya, ignorance. Sankhya states that the way out of this suffering is through knowledge. Only by attaining knowledge viveka, you can achieve salvation. Moksha, liberation, states Samkhya school, results from knowing the difference between Prakriti, Avyakta, Vyakta, and Purusha, Gna. Gna is nothing but the first word of Gnana, right? So Purusha denotes Gnana, Prakriti, on the other hand, denotes Avyakta, Vyakta. In the sense, it is inanimate world, inanimate, all these bonds and these obligations and all this suffering, basic reason for suffering of human beings is the basic reason is the bondage. In the sense, Prakriti, or in other words, Prakriti is also called Maya in Hindu mythology, even Buddhist mythology. It is called Maya. Maya, in the sense, it is illusion. This material world creates illusion. That illusion and the bonds and obligations resulting out of that illusion causes suffering of mankind. And how you can get out of this? Only by attaining knowledge. Samkhya states that the way out of the suffering is through knowledge, viveka. It's all easy to preach things. It is practically very difficult to break out of this illusion, this Maya. But you see, I always tell you, you should be practical. You see, you should not um, aspire for what you cannot get. The more higher you jump in the anticipation of getting something better, if you fall down, the injury will be that bigger. You will suffer bigger injury. The more you try to fly, and if you fall, if you can't fly, then you will suffer even bigger injury. So you should know your limits and try to achieve what you can given the circumstances. We all have our obligations towards our family, our kids, our relations, our friends. We will have obligations. So simultaneously, you should discharge your duties as well as gain knowledge. That is the only way you can gain knowledge, proper knowledge, right? By just reading few books or listening to some discourse by some guru, you cannot attain knowledge. The knowledge is mostly, I believe, intuitive. That is the Purusha conscience, conscience of the core of our galaxy is kind of a collective conscience. That conscience directs you if you are looking for it. Let us say when Arjuna hit that bird with arrow and the others could not, the only reason was his looks, he was seeing only the bird. They go the what do you call, the goal. He was not distracted. So you should have that ear and eyes to hear and read or perceive, as we call in Sankhya terms. Perception is the first method to learn. So you should perceive your surroundings. There may be good things among your friends, your surrounding neighbors, and everyone. There may be many good things. You should perceive and adopt those good qualities. and then only you can achieve moksha. If you think I have read so many books, I have listened to so many discourses, I have even mastered the philosophy, Vedanta, Upanishads, Dharma Sutras. I know everything, but still it's of no use unless it follows reason. That's what I like most about the Samkhya. Purusha, the eternal pure consciousness, due to ignorance, identifies itself with products of Prakriti such as intellect, buddhi, and ego, ahankara. So, Purusha is very intelligent, ultimate conscience, yet the eternal pure consciousness also, due to ignorance, identifies itself with products of Prakriti. This results in endless transmigration and suffering. However, once the realization arises in that Purusha is distinct from Prakriti, it is more than empirical ego. And that Purusha is deepest conscience self within. The self gains isolation, kaivalya, and freedom, moksha. So, once the realization arises that Purusha is distinct from Prakriti, then that I will agree. And that is the only way, by attaining knowledge and knowing that he is bogged down in Prakriti. I see, when I say Prakriti, when I say Purusha here, Purusha doesn't mean male, Prakriti doesn't mean female. Purusha means conscience. The eternal conscience, pure eternal conscience is Purusha. It is basically, in one word, Purusha is incorruptible. Purusha is the super conscience which cannot be corrupted. And Prakriti tries to corrupt the conscience. That is, the soul gets entrapped in this body, which is material, right? Nothing but material. It is made of out of five Panchabhutas, right? So that soul is pure. That soul doesn't have sex. That soul doesn't have any sort of discrimination, right? It is pure and pure eternal consciousness. So yeah, and then on the other hand, Advaita, if you juxtapose Advaita and Sankhya, the main difference is this soteriological goal in Advaita is to gain self knowledge. Even here, it says you should gain self knowledge. And as being in essence, Atma, awareness or witness consciousness, and complete understanding of the identity of Jiva, Atma, and Brahma. What Advaita says, how it differs is, it says you should yourself, through self knowledge, know the difference between Atma and Paramatma. Identities, you should make out the identities of Jivatma and Brahma. Correct knowledge of Atma and Brahma is the attainment of Brahma. It says, Advaita says, just correct knowledge of Atma and Paramatma, or Atma or Brahman. It says just attaining the knowledge, if you are able to distinguish between Atma and Paramatma, you get moksha, something like that. And attainment of Brahma, correct knowledge of Atma and Brahma is attainment of Brahman in immortality and leads to moksha, liberation from suffering and samsara. It says if you can know the difference between Atma and Paramatma, that itself is more gets you salvation. The cycle of the suffering, samsara, and cycle of rebirth. This is stated by Shankara as follows. That is a different thing. I think I didn't copy that. But anyway, so and the other thing also I will explain how. Let us go back to our title, then you will know what I mean. Here I said Samkhya 96 verses 69 Advaitha. And what I mean by that. See, what just now we read what Advaita means. See, it says only through samsara, but by knowing the difference between Atma and Paramatma, you can attain moksha. While in this world, you are in this world only. So, this is how the concept is in my what do you call theory. It translates to this. This 6 cube is Purusha here, the soul, and 9 cube is the nature. This 6 cube is trapped in the 9 cube. Okay, this is the number 69. So Advaita says that this 6 cube and the one, the Paramatma or the Brahma, if you know the difference between 6 cube and 252, for this example, you see when you take the Pascal's triangle, it goes on and on forever, right? And the multiples of 11. So I'm just taking the immediate order, level of order, that is 252. That is the 10th level basically. If I don't show you, you may not know. This is basically this is the 9th level. This is what Prakriti, what we are calling Prakriti. This is the 10th level. The 252 is the first ordered the order is established here. So yeah, this is what Advaita is saying. 69. While you are still in this region of 6, 9, your soul being 6 and nature being 9, by remaining in 9 cube also, not also, you will remain in 9 cube only and still you can achieve moksha. That is, if you know the difference between 6 cube and 252. 252, right? So that is Advaita 69. It advocates 69. That is 13 square. Whereas the Samkhya says this Prakriti 9 cube and this Purusha is entrapped in 9 cube. The soul is entrapped in the body, material world. Prakriti is nothing but material. It's purely materialistic world. So this is the soul. This soul, Purusha, is entrapped in this nature. So the only way to get out of this, to achieve Kaivalya is nothing but salvation, the word for salvation in Samkhya. So to achieve Kaivalya, The only way is to achieve knowledge, attain knowledge. Only through knowledge you can break this jinx, meaning you will separate this, what do you call, 69, this 6 and 9, 69, you separate 6 and 9 and make it 9 and 6. In the sense, these are facing, the faces are opposite. This is facing this way, left side. This is facing right side. These are opposite. Whereas here 6 and 9, the faces are 6 and 9. That is basically, you can say, yin and yang. This is yin and this is yang. The 69 are facing each other, meaning they are together. The concept is very beautifully explained in Egyptian mythology, where the god of earth Geb and goddess of sky Nut are the father and mother of all human beings, or all beings basically. So that, like Kashyapa in Hindu mythology. So that guy and their father is called Shu. Shu and his wife Tefnut are the moisture basically. Shu is dryness, Tefnut is moisture. Shu and Tefnut, basically Shu, separates these two. If you don't separate these two, 6 and 9, then they go on producing children, and the world will get filled with so many human beings, all kinds of life, and it will not stop. There is no control. You will lose control. So what Shu does, this guy Geb's father does, is he separates what do you call, Nut and Geb. Nut and Geb, he separates them, and thus avoiding too much inundation of this earth. The resources are limited. So if you inundate the earth with the children or the life, different forms of life, there will be of course a lot of suffering. Naturally, people will not have enough food, people will not have enough resources, water to drink, food to eat. All these problems will crop up if you go on producing without limit. So that is what Shu does. Shu, the father of Geb and Nut. So he separates these two. This guy, Samkhya, the school of thought, is very much similar to Shu. Shu says 9, keep your faces opposite sides. 9 faces this way, 6 faces this way. There is no way these two can come together and produce children again. So that then the souls will be released, and the souls will achieve the Kaivalya, the ultimate salvation. So yeah, I think after so long, in fact, I came across a school of thought which is very much similar. This is basically a combination of my theory and Gnostic apocryphon of John, Gnostic school of thought, as well as my own. It is more than that. It is based on numbers, reason. One keyword is reason, and the other is number. It is based on numbers, math, and it is purely scientific. It's a beautifully rational school of thought. So I think I found my school of thought, which I can advocate with whole heart. Okay, then yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you today. Let us meet some other time with some other interesting topic. Bye.